Okay, awesome. So looks like we're ready to go. Thanks, everybody. My name is Lisa Shi, and I'm the programs manager here at ventureLAB. And with me today,
this is Avinash Prasad. I'm heading up the Hardware Catalyst Initiative.
awesome. And I guess just a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. As we're expecting around 20 to 30 people, we've muted everybody just to be able to better manage the session. But you're more than welcome to leverage the chat function to type out any questions you have throughout the presentation. Our team will then review and compile the questions at the end to be addressed one by one during the Q&A period. Also, if you're able to just keep your videos off, this will just be less distracting for the whole entire group. I'm just going to quickly test out one quick function. Somebody typed in the chat briefly. We do have the recording on, and so we'll be able to share the recording as well as the presentation deck afterwards. So thanks, guys. All right, so with that said, here's a quick agenda for today. For those not as familiar with ventureLAB or our ecosystem, we'll give a quick overview on who we are and then go into the specifics of the Hardware Catalyst Initiative program. And of course, dedicating a significant portion at the end for any questions you may have pertaining to the program. ventureLAB, we're the leading technology hub here in York Region, which is Canada's second largest tech cluster. And our mission is to grow globally competitive tech titans that are built to scale right here in Canada. Since our inception in 2011, we have supported over 2,000 tech companies and entrepreneurs and have helped over 100 companies raise more than 100 million collectively through public and private investments and have created over 3,500 jobs. In terms of our innovation hub, we're located on the first floor of IBM Canada's headquarters. And today we're a 50,000 square foot facility, home to over 45 tech companies and innovation partners, and continues to see and welcome over 7,000 visitors annually. At ventureLAB, we're looking to support, mostly focused on supporting companies, the growth ventures focusing in a couple of key sectors: hardware and enterprise software, digital health, advanced manufacturing, as well as fintech. And we have a number of core programs designed to support these companies through the core pillars of capital, talent, technology, and customers. And here is essentially an overview of our current program offerings. As mentioned earlier, the majority of our clients are at the growth stage, hence we've designed a number of our core programs to provide extensive support and tailored business advisory to those companies at this stage. And beyond that, we do offer some earlier stage programs, as well as leveraging the extended network to provide additional scale-up support to those on a rapid growth trajectory. For today, as the focus is on the Hardware Catalyst Initiative, we wouldn't go into the specifics of each, but we have included our program page link down at the bottom here for those interested in learning more. And yeah, with that, I'll pass it over to Avinash to kind of go through the specifics of HCI.
Thank you, Lisa, for giving us that summary on the ventureLAB programs in general. I'm going to speak about the Hardware Catalyst Initiative in particular. It's Canada's first hardware and silicon lab, an incubator program. In June of this year, the federal government announced through the FedDev program funding of $5 million over a 5-year period to support this program. It is constituted by 3 main pillars. One is the cohort-based programming, and the people on this call, I presume, are quite interested in that element of it. In the initial round of of the solicitation, we'll be looking to engage 3 to 5 clients that we'll be looking to support in the program. When the program is fully mature, up and running, we'll support 7 to 10. Those programs will run between 12 to 24 months. The reason why initially we're looking at 3 to 5 companies, tech startup companies, rather than the 7 to 10, is that we do anticipate having to refine the program. And whilst we're doing that, we don't want to dilute the engagement with our clients. So we'll start with a smaller number of clients as we mature the program and make sure everything's running fully. In addition to the core programming for tech startup clients, we have an advisor mentor network that we're formed with people with substantial years, if not decades, of experience in the hardware tech sector to provide guidance. And also, the other key pillar of what we're doing is putting together hardware test lab that will have both bench test capability for the usual type of testing, bring up product characterization, qualification, failure analysis, what it may be. But in addition, we're also going to look at having environmental test capability, such as thermal chamber, so thermal cycling testing could be done, testing across extreme temperature ranges, shock and vibe testing, as well as EMI testing to ensure that before you may need to go for compliance testing or certification testing, you will have a good sense of whether your product has a good likelihood of passing those tests. So why Hardware Catalyst Initiative? First of all, there's no other organization that has a truly holistic program to support either commercially available embedded hardware products or silicon-based products. And as many of us will be very aware, the number of hurdles to get products into the marketplace is substantial, and it's not trivial to do it. And what we wanted to do is to make sure we could provide support either with the team internally or the team externally to be able to provide that level of end-to-end support to get your product to market. Of course, for hardware silicon products, the barrier to entry is much higher than other technologies. Test equipment, certification testing, compliance testing, these things have significant costs. So greater focus support is necessary to make the likelihood of success much higher. And of course, the complexities of getting product ready for release is much higher. And it takes a longer time to iterate hardware products. It's not like firmware or software where you can release a build within days. Very often it's weeks and months to get hardware iterations released, depending on whether it's a board spin or a silicon spin. It takes substantial time. However, the other aspect of this is that there's a greater need than ever for this type of support because of a significant inflection point in the hardware industry. The number of sectors where hardware is becoming very relevant and great opportunities is more than we've ever seen before. So this is perfect timing to take advantage of that. Technology such as IoT, 5G, RF, wearable technologies, sensor technologies, and many others are making this a perfect time to provide this support to hardware tech startups. We have already engaged a significant number of technology partners that have substantial reputations in the industry, and we'll be announcing them very soon. And we will be getting a lot of support from them, including technology advice to our clients. In addition to the technology support, we'll also be supporting, providing support from existing core programs that ventureLAB already has. An example of that would be our capital investment program, which is a very substantial program, as Lisa mentioned. Since 2011, over $106 million raised for our tech startups. So that is a very mature program, not technology related, but part of our holistic approach to supporting startups in this sector. So the HCI team on the top left is myself. Top middle, Frank Spagnuolo, who's actually joining on September 30th, next Monday, hence the grayed out picture there, making him look a little bit mysterious. Unfortunately, we didn't have a picture of him to put in there. Harman, top right, is our Director of Partnerships. Lisa, who you've just been listening to, is our Manager of Programs. And Christy has joined us as the Coordinator of Programs. So speaking specifically to the program benefits, once our lab is commissioned, there'll be 24/7 hardware test lab access. And as I mentioned, we're looking to have both bench test equipment and environmental test capabilities. We're looking to provide especially for silicon development, access to EDA tools, and those who have looked at what it costs to have licenses for EDA tools, you'll know that is substantially expensive. So we've negotiated and are negotiating the terms for that to make sure that that's available for tech startups that qualify for our program. We're also looking to have access to evaluation kits such as FPGA development tools and other evaluation kits. And as we become aware of what tools are going to be made available to us, we'll let our clients become aware of what's going to be available to them. We will have specialized support and access to very experienced hardware and silicon development experts. As an example, if some guidance is needed in package selection for an IC or thermal management or industrial design guidelines or things like that, we will have experts that will be available for consultation. And in continuing on that theme, we'll have guidance in setting up supply chains, getting ready for things like environmental compliance, product certifications, things like designing for manufacturability, testability, sourceability, supportability, all of those things that are necessary very early on in product development, so that once you've got your product ready for release, you're not struggling with issues around manufacturing and supporting that product once it gets out in the field. What we'll be looking to do for each one of the clients that join the cohort program is that we will tailor our programs around the requirements of each one of our clients. We will not have a one-size-fits-all program because we anticipate not everybody will have the same requirements, not everybody will have the same expertise needs. Some clients may have more knowledge in particular areas than others. There's no point us providing expertise in areas in which we already have the expertise. We'll be looking to provide complementary support, and by complementary, not the one with the I, but the E, support in areas that you need assistance in particular. And as I mentioned before, there are other significant programs that ventureLAB already has and already supports our existing client base with that we're going to leverage, such as the capital investment program. And we will have two spots available, workspace at ventureLAB for the clients. The idea is that we really need to have a physical presence within ventureLAB for clients so that we have the ability to provide that close engagement and provide the support. So in terms of eligibility criteria, startup clients must have been founded within the past 5 years prior to the application, must have received less than $5 million in revenue in the last 12 months, have a clear vision of the product or service they intend to take to market. So there's no ambiguity as to what the end goal is, and have developed or are developing a semiconductor product, silicon IP, or embedded hardware product, and maybe looking to do a respin or a brand new product. Those would be considered eligible, and willing to spend a minimum of 2 days a week at ventureLAB for the duration of the program. And again, that's to make sure that they're taking maximum advantage of what we're looking to offer. And looking to locate in Southern Ontario or have a plan to establish a presence in Southern Ontario. These are some examples of eligible product areas, and I alluded to a few of them earlier on. As you can see from this list, there's a substantial amount of exciting areas for technology development. 5G, IoT, industrial IoT, unmanned aerial vehicles, and vision systems, wearables. I won't go through the whole list, but this is not an exhaustive list. There are many other areas that are very interesting and are eligible for our program. Examples of ineligible product solutions, things like minor modifications to existing hardware. So if a startup is looking to take an existing piece of hardware and make a relatively trivial modification to it, that would not be regarded as an eligible product for our program. In other words, trivial hardware solutions. Firmware modifications to existing hardware, for example, taking a digital camera and developing a new firmware for that would not be eligible. Non-commercial solutions. So for example, if what you're looking to do is to look at a technology area with research, exploration type view in mind to what you're looking to achieve, that would not be regarded as eligible. Our focus is very much commercial. It's very much getting a product out the door, establishing a profitable commercial presence in the region.
Okay, great. Thanks, Avinash. So now we've covered some of the program eligibility criteria and benefits. I'd like to speak to the application process a bit more and what to expect if you or any of your clients may be interested in applying. It's really a simple 3-step process. For anyone who's new to ventureLAB, meaning you have not yet registered with us, the first step would be to complete the general registration that could be found on the apply page on our website. If, however, you've already completed a registration in the past, you can simply proceed to step 2, which is filling out this HCI specific application, which is scheduled to open on October 1st. And at that time, you'll be able to access the form directly via the HCI page. And I'll just quickly show you guys So this is basically our ventureLAB website. And if you go to what we offer, you could find the Hardware Catalyst initiative down in the drop down there, and then essentially provides a quick overview and talks through some of the components Avinash has walked us through in terms of what you'll get through the program, eligibility criteria, and we have included a number of frequently asked questions down below as well, and we look to gather any questions we may have from today's session, and we'll include in this section as well. On October 1st, when the application launches, you'll be able to find an apply button with access to the application form. And for any of you who have not yet signed up, we have a HCI specific newsletter. If you're interested in getting updates, this will be a great place to sign up for that. Awesome. To this. I guess just before I go into that, again, it is very important and to your benefit to be as clear, concise, and complete as possible for your application, as we'll be shortlisting a number of ventures to move to the second round based on these applications. In terms of the second round, those selected to move forward will be invited in for review panel with our team throughout the month of October, and we shall have our final evaluation and aim to notify all applicants of their status, whether successful or not, by mid-November. And here on this slide, we've highlighted some of those key dates for you. As mentioned, the application period for our initial cohort will be open during the month of October, and a public announcement of the successful applicants will aim to go out by the end of November. As Avinash alluded to earlier, we're just in the beginning phases of building out our hardware lab. And so this initial cohort will actually look to officially kick off in January of next year, which is 2020. I guess just one last comment before we open up for questions. Because we're only looking to onboard 3 to 5 companies in this initial cohort, many of you may not be successful in regards to the HCI, but please keep in mind we have a number of other core programs that you may be able to leverage. So we highly encourage all of you who are interested to come out to one of our orientations to learn about the other supports available through our ecosystem. And with that, we will open up for questions. Again, if we could please ask everyone to type out their questions or send it to us through the chat function, we will then read it out to the group and address them one by one. And yeah, thanks to everyone. So it looks like we have no questions just yet. We'll wait for a couple more minutes for you guys to send it to us. Okay, so it looks like we have our first question. When would the second cohort start?
We're right now we're looking at roughly 8 months after. We believe that would give us enough time to refine the program and get ready for the second cohort. Obviously, prior to that 8 months, we would take applications and go through a similar qualification process prior to that. So that would be the time frame we'd be looking at. But we would send out through the newsletter the exact timelines on that.
Perfect. And related to that question, is first cohort 12 months or 24 months? So
it goes through the period of 12 to 24 months. As I mentioned, we're going to be tailoring our program to the requirements of each client. We have a bit longer timeline for hardware development because we're well aware the complexities of getting hardware product out the door is longer than other technologies. So we wanted to make sure that depending on the requirements of the program, we had that range. So it's not either 12 months or 24 months. it's 12 to 24 months.
And is the presentation going to be on your website? Again, I think what we'll try to do is try to make the recording available on our website. With the presentation, we'll send it to everybody in attendance today. And then, we'll tease out the important bits to include on our website as well. In regards to the application process, is the application text or presentation format? PowerPoint versus Word. Mm-hmm.
The application is actually through a web format. It'll be submitted online, and it'll come to us through a web submission. However, you have the ability to add up to 3 attachments to support your application, and those could be whatever format you determine could best support your application. So yes, there are some questions we ask which you would type in, but if they're supporting diagrams, flowcharts, whatever that you think would be suitable for your application, then you have the opportunity to make attachments.
Mm-hmm. And in the second round that we talked about, which is a review panel, that will be a presentation format where we just kind of go into the specifics of your business, of your team, and so forth to give us a better understanding to base our evaluation off of.
Did we answer this one?
Sure, not yet.
Okay.
So to answer Ralph's question, the question was, will we be allowed in the early stage to be able to have a 2 to 3 minute presentation?
So yeah, we have an email that you could reach us at hci@venturelab.ca.
Right.
So if you have any questions along those lines and want to provide information that you think might not be suited to the application, we don't want to constrain your ability to get us the information you think is relevant. So reach out to us at the email and we'll get back to you on that.
Awesome. And to Albert's question, what is the time frame for the cohort? Is it required to have an MVP to qualify, minimum viable product?
Okay. What is the time frame for the cohort? So the applications will open up on October 1st and run through the month of October. We'll evaluate in the first 3 weeks of November. The cohort actually starts in earnest in January of 2020. Do you have to have a minimum viable product? Sorry, MVP, there is a new term for me. You do not. But the information you provide will help us evaluate. So it does not need to be a realized product that you already have. If you have a design, a market analysis, and a compelling story around what it is that you propose to build, then absolutely that's eligible for what we're looking at.
And to Mustafa's question, does the program provide support with raising investment, building relations with potential customers? And
yes, to my earlier point about holistic support, we're looking to provide beyond just technical support. So helping you engage with customers, even connecting you with contacts that we think could help you in what you're trying to achieve, and funding, those types of things. Absolutely, those are all elements of what we'd be looking to do.
And we do have other programs that offer support in those areas as well. Again, once you become a ventureLAB client as part of this ecosystem, the type of support you'll receive is quite fluid, and we do share resources between programs as well. So it looks like for Joseph's question, he's asking in regards to the proprietary information in the attachments, and is there confidentiality? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. At the bottom of the application, it will refer to our confidentiality terms and agreement. so that you can be comfortable that whatever you submit to us is governed by ventureLAB's confidentiality agreement, that all information that you provide to us is considered proprietary. And what I suggest is click on our terms and conditions that covers confidentiality. So you can be confident in that what you're submitting to us will be governed under those terms. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us.
Oh, okay, awesome. So looks like that's all of the questions that we have. And actually, in regards to IP, one of our partners is Bereskin and Parr, and so we offer regular intellectual property related workshops as well as one-on-one opportunities. So if any of you are interested, please feel free to send a question or interest to hci@venturelab.ca email, and we'll make sure to get you connected on that front.
Yeah, that's a good point. We do for proprietary development that you need patent protection. We have partnerships with firms that provide expertise in that area.
And thank you, Ralph, for that comment. Again, it is quite exciting, and to be able to, support companies in this stage. And with Avinash coming with a hardware background, he understands a lot of the hurdles and gaps. And so,
yes, sometimes painfully so, but yes, I can fully relate to what you're saying there. Appreciate the comment.
Someone asked,
yes.
What is Avinash's background?
Yes, I have, I hesitate to say, but it's decades of experience in hardware development environments. I have worked at AMD, ATI, Spectra 7, Fresco Microchip. I have worked on setting up supply chains. I've done product qualification, product characterization, dealt with supplier issues, dealt with customer issues. I've set up manufacturing companies in China to do production, set up an office there, and gone through auditing of foundries, packaging houses, board assemblies.
The full gamut of.
Yes, a number of different things. So either the ventureLAB team will have the expertise to support you, or we will be able to get through our partners that level of expertise. Yeah,
we're not doing active recruitment here. Somebody mentioned is like, could Avinash work for their company at this time?
Yeah,
we'll keep him for ventureLAB.
For now, I'll try to help as many hardware tech startups as I can.
Okay, awesome. So, there is one more question. Yeah.
Will you be able to help us create wafer die? Yeah, so as I mentioned in my background, I've worked with foundries to create wafer dies and worked on package selection and assembly. So depending on what it is you need to do in the silicon space, we can figure out what help you need to get that done. In terms of bare wafer die, absolutely that's possible. Depends on the application. If you're looking at a direct die attach and maybe wire bonding to the substrate, we can figure out what that is.
And another question from Albert, if the company is more than 5-year history, can it still qualify to apply?
Why don't you send us more details in an email so we can understand a bit better what the exact situation is, and we can determine whether or not it can qualify. As you can appreciate, our focus is to help technology startups. So we had to create criteria that targets the focus to hardware tech startups. And even if it may not qualify directly for the HCI program, that does not mean we cannot offer support in other areas. We can still, ventureLAB can still offer a lot of support, even if it's not directly part of the HCI program. So I strongly suggest that you contact us through your email to give us the details. And one way or the other, I'm sure we can provide support.
And Albert, since we met yesterday, and so it's definitely a great opportunity to come out to orientation to learn about more. It's just with the HCI, we've kind of put some frameworks around, but some of the other core programs that we offer, there is no kind of upper limit. And so, coming out to an orientation, meeting one-on-one with one of our advisors would definitely be a great starting point.
And the advisor network for HCI, we can certainly work with them to provide support regardless. So I don't want, it's either HCI or nothing.
For sure. Okay, awesome. So it looks like that's all of the questions that we got on our end. Does anyone have more questions? If not, we just wanted to thank everybody for joining us for today's session. If you do have additional questions, please feel free to direct it to hci@venturelab.ca. But thank you again for joining, and we'll be making the deck as well as the recording available to everybody in attendance today. And thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate your time.